Good evening, Australia.
Good morning, Texas.
And I don't know what time it is in Greece.
It's lunchtime. It's 1:30.
Oh my gosh. Here are
Yeah,
three different time zones again, Chris.
I know. I love it. I love it. And I love that we're all in three very, very, very different corners of the globe. And we're sitting here on Zoom and we're becoming friends.
Yes, absolutely. Our
Absolutely.
new friend is Dr. Karina Lopez, and we're very happy to have her today on our show.
Yeah. And like we were just catching up. So a New York Puerto Rican who lives in Greece. I love it.
I
I love it. Tell, tell us how long you've been doing iridology.
so I want to say I started iridology as a very beginner when I was in regular medical school. And that
Wow.
started with I went to Albert Einstein, a medical college in the Bronx. And, my route was to become, a very conservative physician, although I was always into alternative medicine, being Puerto Rican, we had this culture of spiritualism and herbs, and it's just imbued in the Latino culture. And, slowly but surely, as I was becoming indoctrinated into the medical system, I started to get sick. And I was given lots of different medications. And as I would go to these lectures, I would get sicker. An example would be I went to a cardiology lecture, and in the cardiology lecture, we learned about the new medication for blood pressure. But unfortunately, the side effect was that in 10 years, it would actually cause a heart attack. And I realized that so much of the medications that are given have on themselves a ticking time bomb. And I went home and cried. Then there was a nutrition class, and only 10 students came up and they showed us the pyramid. And I went home and cried again. And I realized slowly but surely I was being indoctrinated to become, maybe a higher paid drug dealer. And even the drugs that I was being put on were supposed to be for life. And I sought an alternative, and I was recommended to see an iridologist. Her name was Medina Byers, and she's in the Bronx. And she looked in my eye without knowing anything about me, right? So you go to these appointments and you sit down and they just look in your eye. And she said, I don't know where you are right now, but if you continue on this journey, you're going to die.
Oh,
And I was only but 24 years old. I mean, I'm 41 now. And as a 24-year-old, to get that was like a hit to my heart. And I realized that she was right, that in reality, I was leaving my divine soul's purpose, and that was killing me because I was allowing myself to get indoctrinated into something that I didn't believe in, and I was getting sick. And that's when my alternative quest started. And so I left medical school and began studying these different fields. And of course, I learned some from Medina as she became my mentor. And she, followed more of Bernard Jensen's style. And then I became a naturopathic physician, a homeopath. I studied in India and did acupuncture and all these other modalities around the world, but they all look at the eyes in different ways, right? The Ayurveds, the Native American Indians. And soon I learned from, actually, not soon, but 10 years later, I learned from Tony Miller, and I learned from Leonard Melmauer. And so just the deepening and the opening of really continuing with the eye has been a source of profound healing for myself and for the people I see in consultation.
Wow, that's
fantastic.
beautiful. So
Yeah.
this kind of, I think I gather a little bit of the answer to the second question and some of what you said, but who really inspired you? Was it Medina herself that inspired you to move on and seek further education into this? Who could we say inspired you really?
My God, of course, Medina. I mean, Medina, she she'll always have a place in my heart. I mean, she rattled my spirit.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, as a Puerto Rican woman from the Bronx, you know, born in the same hospital that I was going to school to become a medical doctor in, right? So I went to Albert Einstein.
Mhm.
There's a lot of pressure to be the first doctor of the family,
Mhm.
right? To
Mhm.
have that white coat, to play the role of what the expectations are. And when you break that bubble, when you break that paradigm of this isn't what real healing is, that's when you really experience the soul's journey. And so I met many people on this journey. There's a woman, Bonnie Camo. She's a homeopath in Italy. And I called her up and I said, at the time she was living in Jersey, and I said, I'm very sick. I don't have a lot of money. I'm a medical student, but one day I'm going to be a really good doctor for people, and I need your help. And she came, and she was leaving. She was leaving to Italy, and she left me her homeopathic legacy of books and beautiful things. And so it's kind of, as I reached out, as I met different physicians who were really interested in alternative medicine, it opened a world for them. And I had the benefit of meeting many people who were leaving the field as I was opening the field. And so
Yes.
I was really fortunate.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And these aren't part of our normal questions, but I'd have to know, how do you know Betty Sue?
How do I know Betty Sue? So I watched one of your seminars, guys. Come on. I
Yeah.
watched the international seminar. And
Excellent.
I'm someone who has to reach out. And I said, I wonder what she'll see in my eye, because I found her to be beautiful and I loved her presentation. And I called her up and I said, will you take a look at my eye? Can I do a
Fabulous.
consultation? And she was so interesting because she told me about, my chakra, and it was beautiful. I love her.
Yeah, me too.
Now, Chris, you should know that everybody knows Betty Sue O'Brien.
Yeah, I know. And Karina, how did you end up in Greece?
Oh, what happened here?
Oh, you're
Oh,
good.
no,
We're-
it was just a little bit of a Wi-Fi
Just a
glitch.
hiccup. Just a
Yeah,
hiccup.
that's okay. We're all
Hiccup?
good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. Ask your
So how did
question
you end up
again,
in
Chris.
Greece?
I got two questions at once. What'd you guys say?
I just asked, how did you end up in Greece?
Oh my. So I wrote a blog about this, but I am going to try to give you the summary. So, which is never really a summary, but I had my clinic in Yonkers, right at the borderline of Yonkers and the Bronx, for 10 years, where I was seeing a lot of, immigrants and, people of color, and, anybody would come. But I also had a lot of friends at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital. So I would see a lot of the doctors and the nurses and the emergency staff. Why is this relevant? Why it's relevant because this was at the time Corona, and all of the Corona patients were walking right into that emergency clinic, and those doctors were coming back to me with symptoms of cough, chest pain, issues with breathing. And I said, I'll help you with acupuncture and homeopathy, which we did. But then I was at the time with a 3-month-old, and being the woman I am, I had my baby strapped to my chest and I was doing my acupuncture, and my in-laws, my papudas, they came and they were taking care of the baby and the clinic as I was getting started. And guess what? We had to close down the clinic. And at that very moment, my in-laws got very, very sick with Corona. So sick that they were coughing up blood. They lost consciousness a few times. And there were two options. We can fight with our alternative medicine, because these people had metabolic chronic issues, or we can do what? We can take them to the hospital where they didn't know a word of English. And at the time, as sad as it was, they were taking the bodies of people who were passing from corona, putting them in trucks and incinerating the bodies. So we asked them, what would you like to do? We want to respect you. And they said, we want to stay with you. Well, I called up George Vathulkis, an alternate Nobel laureate who happens to be my mentor.
Yeah.
I fought with acupuncture. We had vitamin C IVs that we got from a colleague of mine. We did everything. And in 2 hard weeks, they were fine.
Wow.
But they were fine.
Right.
Good on you.
But
Good
I had,
on you.
let me tell you, you have to, that's when you have to gather your colleagues and get strength from everybody.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that's what we did. But then we realized, hey, we know how to help people.
Mhm.
And we were forced to close our clinic down. At the time, only emergency clinics were open, and we were seeing everyone online. And I looked at my husband and I said, why do I have to pay for an office and an apartment in New York when I can go to Greece and work online anyway?
Fabulous.
And so we
Perfect.
partnered with colleagues who can hold some of our remedies, and we left to Bilio. And like the people who suffered tuberculosis and they go to the mountains to heal themselves, so we did and went to Bilio and healed our lungs and ourselves more.
I love it.
Wow. Beautiful story.
Oh,
That is a beautiful, beautiful story.
Thank you.
I love it.
I look forward to visiting you in Greece one
Don't
day.
you?
I'd love that.
Don't you?
We would love to see you.
Okay. I'll be there.
As we will
Oh,
go to Creta and visit you.
I tell you, you are a powerhouse. You are a
yeah.
powerhouse.
Amazing.
So with all the eyes that you've seen so far, can you tell us what maybe one of your favorite signs to see or a favorite eye type to see?
So, as a homeopath, we study miasma a lot. And, when we think of miasma, we think of ancestral illnesses that are really going through kind of the sludge and from one parent to the child to the grandparents and it all. So when I see a miasmatic eye, that beautiful eye with many different pigments, and I'm able to connect the pieces of a lot of the deep potential, real difficult illnesses that these people have suffered and connected with the Trinity almost. And when I say the Trinity, I'm thinking of even mythology when you think of, Persephone and Demeter and then Persephone's baby. And I'm thinking about the mother, the daughter, the grandmother, or the father and the son and the grandfather, and just how we can trace these generations and allow them to understand the emotional factors, the physical factors, and the karmic passages that they have incarnated on earth to make that change. And on some level, I believe chose these routes. And so when I see this, I really try my best to work with the person to understand their incarnation, their road, and almost their the beautiful healing capacity they have to heal not only themselves, but the generations in front and the generations behind
Exactly. Well said.
them.
Well said. I'm right
Love
there
it.
with you. I'm right there with you.
That is what a great answer.
Yeah, yeah.
We haven't
It was
had that
beautiful.
before.
Beautiful. Well, I'm getting my inspiration for today from YouTube.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
absolutely.
So excuse me. We play a little game where we have you
Uh-oh.
choose. Oh yeah, we're rough around here. We have you choose a number between 1 and 36. We're going to ask you a random question. And
Oh
oh yeah, we're going to put you on the spot. And we're going to help you out too. We sometimes play with this as well.
It'll be fine.
You'll love it.
no.
So if you will, give me a number between 1 and 36.
17.
17. Let me get 17 for you. Oh boy, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Well, you know what? This kind of relates to something you were talking about earlier when we were speaking. It always works out this way. I don't know how.
It does. I don't know how, but it
I don't.
does.
It's the universe's way of showing us that we're on the right path today.
That's right.
When I see a lacuna in the eye of any, when I see a lacuna in the heart area
Mhm.
of my clients, I'm often nervous about asking them questions about the heart. How can I ask questions about heart health that won't upset or make my client nervous?
So we just talk about the chakra. We talk about love. We talk about where they felt nourished, how they've allowed nourishment within, and how they've given and received. I like to also look at the hands, and I believe it was Betty Sue who taught me this one, where you look at the left hand and the right hand, and just to kind of understand, are there any pigments or lacunas there? Are they giving love? Are they receiving love? And so just touching upon that topic, and then perhaps slowly melting it into the physical heart, and how their joy also plays a part, and their laughter. Maybe, when was the last time you laughed? When was this last time you've done something you love? Or what is it that you love to do? And when was the last time you've done that? So just centering that focus, I think, can take us away from the physicality and the stress around that, and just more what really is meaningful. I mean, when we think about the Persian physicians and umami, when we think about umami, they always say anyone with a heart condition also has a form of sadness or a broken heart emotionally. So helping to bring that out, helping to revive that joy and love for life, well, then we're almost there with helping them see.
Mhm.
I love it.
Well said.
Yay. What about you, Kathy? What would you say?
Well, I always approach the heart just like Dr. Karina, and I talk about not specifically the physicality of it, but the emotion around it, the brokenheartedness around it, the familial family history of the heart, and that relation to your heart parent, because there is a heart parent. And how did you feel about that parent? And that's where I bring birth order into my iridology, when I talk about the heart parent. So I talk about things that will aliven your heart and open your heart and settle your heart, and not high blood pressure, high cholesterol. I don't talk about those things because when someone comes to see you, they already know that they have those issues. There's no reason to dredge that back through and talk about that, because 9 times out of 10, they are working on that already.
Yeah.
Okay. So I approach it from a different angle, and it all comes out to strengthen the heart, to make the heart stronger. Open yourself to more love.
Yeah.
So I go about the same approach, Dr. Karina. Thank you for
Sure.
I see that you and I are on the same path there. It's great. Chris, what
Yeah.
about you?
Well, I usually like to use the quote that I learned from Tony Miller is like, people with eyes like yours are usually related to someone who may have had
Right.
some heart issues. And what this means is that the heart is one of your nurture points, and the heart
Right.
responds to love. And it's really important for you to do things that you love, and to surround yourself with people that you love, and to look after your heart. And then we talk about some specific physical things that they could do, some emotional things that they could do, and we sort of go about it that way. But I really like that saying, because it's not like pointing the finger. Like,
Right.
so if I say people with eyes like yours have heart issues, that's like pointing the finger. And that's quite in many cultures, like in Australian Aboriginal culture, it's like pointing the bone. Like, that's almost like giving someone a heart issue.
Right.
So I think it's really important to help them understand that it's a familial nurture point. Like for me, for example, I've got a cardiorenal syndrome in my and a very a really tight, close lacuna in the left eye at 3 o'clock. But I don't have any heart issues. But I do look after myself generally. I exercise, but you know, I have had a paternal granddad that died of a heart attack. You know, in the generation before me, they didn't say I love you that much. You know, that so often Tony Miller says that you know, sometimes when you have that heart lacuna, often it's unexpressed love as well. So, you know, I think it's really important to heal with the future generations. You know, like I make sure that, you know, my kids know that I love them, not just know because you know, they think they do. I tell them, you know, you know, do things that create that. So, yeah, I think it's important to inspire people to want to create healing in their heart, but also for future generations too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what it is all about. I mean, you know, I love the quote in the Quran, if you save one life, it's equivalent to saving the world. And I do believe that. I do believe that
Yeah.
we heal so much.
I love that.
Just, yeah.
So what's the quote? Can you say it again?
If I'm quoting it correctly, but it's, if you save one life, that is equivalent to saving the world.
Love that. Wow.
I do
It
too.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
That is
I've got to
beautiful.
read your blog. I have to go and
I will send it to you.
I'd love, please. And what we'll do is we'll put it in the comments.
That's wonderful. It was published by Dr. Christopher's School of Natural Healing. They have a newsletter, and so it was published through them. I went through his school as I was doing naturopathic school, because I did feel that naturopathic medical school would still have an indoctrination of allopathy because it's licensed, and because there's this, you know, feeling of wanting to be a real doctor within it. So I did one of the fake schools, which has provided me with probably one of the most important resources of knowledge for all of my patients. Was the school that has the least respect and was the least expensive.
Awesome.
You are a real doctor. You are a real doctor.
Love it.
I think all three of us sitting here are all three real doctors.
I would
And
say that.
I've had clients tell me before, you are some kind of a doctor. And I was like, no, I'm just a regular person. And no, because you gave me hope. You did not give me drugs, but you gave me hope. You gave me direction. You gave me guidance. And that is more than anyone wearing a white coat has ever done for me.
Excellent.
And that's the truth.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I've carried that with me because it touched my heart in a good way, but it let me know that I too was on the right path.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, hasn't this been wonderful?
It has. This is,
Yeah.
boy, I tell you what, I'm fired up for the day now. I'm ready to take the day on.
Good.
I'll have to have a chamomile tea to get to sleep now.
Right. For you, it's a different time.
Yes, you will. That's
Yeah.
right. Well, Dr. Karina, we're going to have you back. I don't know when, but we are going to get around to having you back and talking some more. And hopefully we'll have a new set of questions, and we've just enjoyed just this beautiful chat we've had today. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your lunch.
Paristo. Yes, I have not had lunch yet.
Well, it's time for you to move on and have some lunch.
That
I'm going to
and
start my day and
nani.
I'm going to have brekkie.
Yeah. You know, in Greece we have nani, which is, you know, we have our little siestas too. So
Yes.
I'm missing my siesta too.
Oh, yes.
That's important.
Awesome.
That's important. You
Well,
need
it's
that.
lovely to meet you, and looking
Thank you
forward to
so
speaking
much,
to you again.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.